Imagine a job fair, but instead of networking and free pens, everyone is lining up to learn how to become a literal demon. Welcome to the Demonic Murim Alliance, where the only requirement for entry is having a pulse and enough potential to not die during orientation. The hype is real because the Demon Palace is promising to teach anyone their forbidden arts regardless of their background.
But while everyone is dreaming of power, the crowd spots a young Undertaker walking in, making them wonder if the competition already claimed its first victim before even starting.
Meet our main character, Eunseol, a guy who looks like he has not slept since the Han Dynasty and carries a wooden box that definitely does not contain a lunch kit. He is an orphan who was literally found in a snowbank, proving that if you want to be a manhwa protagonist, you better have a tragic origin story involving frostbite. While the NPCs are busy judging his fashion sense, the sharp-eyed pros in the crowd notice something terrifying. This kid might look like a beanpole, but his left leg is more defined than a bodybuilder on a protein-only diet, signaling he is a hidden master of a lightning-fast sword style. Eunseol was raised by his grandfather, a man who taught him that being an undertaker is more than just burying bodies, it is about reading the stories the dead leave behind. Grandpa was clearly the only person who did not find it weird to raise a child in a morgue, but hey, it builds character. Our boy starts reminiscing about a specific night when his grandfather decided to play the world's most messed up game of hide-and-seek. He told Eunseol to play dead and stay perfectly still until sunrise, promising him a fancy new outfit and a sword if he could actually commit to the bit. While the kid is busy pretending to be a corpse, a mysterious figure drops by to ruin the family bonding time. It turns out Grandpa was not just some humble grave digger, he was actually Bu Janyang, the legendary seven-branched demonic blade and a former vice palace master. This legendary killer did not quit his high-paying executive job at the Demon Palace for a better work-life balance. He chose the life of an undertaker to repent for the mountains of bodies he left behind, proving that even the scariest demons eventually want to clear their search history. To keep the heat away from his grandson, Janyang leads the pursuer into the bamboo forest, essentially sacrificing himself so the boy can keep playing his game.
It is the ultimate go-to-your-room move, but with way more blood and high-stakes martial arts involved.
Eventually, the cold gets to be too much for Eunseol, and he decides that a new sword is not worth catching pneumonia.
He breaks the rules of the game and goes looking for his grandfather, only to realize that the playing dead part of the night was not just a game for everyone.
He finds his grandfather collapsed and leaking more blood than a horror movie set.
As the old man takes his final breaths, he drops the ultimate buzzkill request, begging Eunseol to give up the Undertaker business and, for the love of the heavens, to never seek revenge. Eunseol is not hearing any of that peace and forgiveness nonsense. He tells the dying old man that a world without him is already hell, so he might as well embrace the flames. You can practically see the revenge arc loading bar hitting 100% in his eyes.
Instead of just crying like a normal person, Eunseol puts his professional skills to work and starts a forensic investigation on the spot.
He analyzes the wounds with the precision of a CSI detective, ignoring the fact that his only relative just turned into a cold case right in front of him. He spots some weird downward slicing patterns on the arms and identifies the use of the Tianju yoga technique. This is not the kind of yoga you do at the gym, it is a demonic path move that lets you contort your body to strike from impossible angles, confirming his grandpa was taken out by a pro. The kid finds 93 traces of hidden weapons and nails discolored by a lethal poison that literally rots your flesh while you are still using it. Our Undertaker protagonist now has a full profile of the killer, and he is definitely not planning on calling the local authorities to handle it. After burying his grandfather under the name of the Janyang clan, Eunseol heads straight to the Demon Palace registration desk. He is looking for the monster who did this, and he is willing to walk right into the lion's den to find them. Talk about a dangerous job application. The clerks at the desk are total arrogant NPCs, mocking him for being a country bumpkin from a sect they have never heard of. They try to scare him with a contract that basically says, "We own your soul and your body," expecting the kid to tuck tail and run back to his graveyard.
Without hesitating for even a second, Eunseol bites his own finger and stamps the agreement in blood, shocking the recruiters who realized they just signed up a literal psycho.
The journey of the Demon Undertaker has officially begun, and he is coming for everyone's head. Grandpa might have wanted him to live a quiet life, but Eunseol decided that violence is the only language the Murim speaks. He is carrying his grandfather's legacy in that box, and he is about to show the entire demon palace that you should never mess with the guy who knows exactly how to bury you. The atmosphere turns heavy as he walks into the palace, his red eyes glowing with enough malice to make actual demons uncomfortable. He is not there to learn, he is there to audit the student body and delete anyone who smells like his grandfather's killer.
Every step he takes is a reminder of the night he lost everything.
The competition is supposed to be about finding the next great demonic master, but Eunseol is just treating it like a very long list of people he needs to put into the ground. He reflects on the forensic details one last time, locking the image of the killer's technique into his brain. The downward slice, the yoga-style movement, the poison, it is all a map leading to his target. This is not just a revenge story, it is a high-speed hunt. The clerks watch him walk away, finally realizing that the bumpkin they just insulted has an aura that could freeze the sun. Eunseol is the ultimate red flag in human form, and the demon palace has no idea that they just let their own executioner through the front gates. As he enters the main arena, the sheer scale of the competition becomes clear, but Eunseol does not care about the thousands of rivals. He is looking for the one signature move that matches the wounds on his grandfather's back. The game of playing dead is over, and now, it is time for everyone else to try it out for real. He grips the straps of his wooden box, his left leg tensing as he prepares for the first round.
The speed he showed earlier was just a teaser. Once he actually draws his blade, the Murim is going to realize why his grandfather was so feared.
The poison that killed Janyong was meant to make him suffer, and Eunseol plans to return that favor with interest. He is an expert in the human body, knowing exactly where to cut to make the pain last for an eternity before the final burial. Every arrogant young master in the palace is currently a target. They see a skinny kid with a box, but they are actually looking at the person who is going to be digging their graves by the end of the week.
The disrespect is about to be handled in the bloodiest way possible.
Eunseol closes his eyes, centering his rage into a sharp, cold focus.
He told his grandfather he would rather be in hell with him, and he is about to turn this entire palace into a satellite office for the underworld.
The registration is finished, the blood stamp is dry, and the path is set.
No more playing dead, no more hiding in the snow. The Janyong clan is back, and this time, they are not here to repent, they are here to collect. The clerks finally stop laughing as Eunseol disappears into the inner palace, leaving a trail of cold air behind him.
They might have thought they were just signing up another victim, but they actually just invited a wolf into a sheepfold where the sheep think they are the predators.
Our boy takes his first step into the competition, and the screen fades as his red eyes flash one last time. If you were looking for a hero, keep moving, because this kid is only interested in being the last one standing over a pile of corpses.
The revenge arc is officially in high gear, and if you think this is going to be a peaceful tournament, you have clearly never met an Undertaker with a grudge.
Get ready, because the Demon Palace is about to learn that the scariest thing in the world is someone who has nothing left to lose. Welcome to the Murim, where the so-called orthodox heroes and the unorthodox psychos have been playing a deadly game of tag for centuries. One side claims to fight for justice while the other just wants to see the world burn, and honestly, the balance was actually stable for a bit. But the justice-obsessed simps decided to ruin the peace by creating the 18 martial masters. They called them the masters for the greater good, which is basically Murim speak for, we have a bigger squad than you. Not to be outdone, the Demon Palace looked at that and said challenge accepted. Their brilliant plan? Create the 10 demon masters, an elite force of absolute monsters to flip the script on those self-righteous monks and swordsmen. They put out a massive help wanted sign for every young prodigy in the land. The deal was simple, it doesn't matter who you used to work for, if you are talented enough, they will teach you the forbidden arts of the 10 demonic sects. Naturally, every thirsty martial artist in the country flocked to the palace. Among the crowd is our boy Eunseol, who isn't there for the benefits package. He is busy sensing some seriously scary auras, realizing the competition is packed with high-level threats.
But then, he feels something that makes his blood run cold.
Someone in this crowd is linked to the person who murdered his grandfather. It is not just gossip anymore, The killer is close enough to touch, but Eunseol knows he is currently too weak to do anything but stare. He admits it himself, the murderer is a martial god compared to him. If he wants to turn that guy into a memory, he needs a massive power-up, and he needs it yesterday.
Standing there with Zero Sect backing, he realizes becoming a demon master is his only shot at survival.
It is a desperate move, but desperate times call for joining a demonic cult, right? He clenches his fist, deciding that if he has to become a demon to get his revenge, then he will be the scariest one of the lot. Suddenly, the atmosphere gets heavy as the head instructor makes his grand entrance.
This absolute unit is Hyuk Ryanung, also known as Gold Dagger Blood Eyes. With a name that edgy, you know he is not here to hand out participation trophies.
Ryan Young wastes no time and tells the crowd that the Demon Palace is only looking for the peak of the peak. If you aren't a once-in-a-generation genius, you might as well walk yourself to the nearest exit before things get messy. The first trial is basically a glorified vibe check. The palace instructors start roaming through the crowd, manually inspecting everyone's physical aptitude. Imagine getting felt up by a group of scary cultists just to see if your bones are worth training.
Some candidates are confused, wondering where the actual fighting is, but the instructors are ruthless. They are looking for perfect frames and iron muscles, tossing anyone who looks even slightly mid to the curb without a second thought.
Then they get to Eunseol, and it is a total roast session. They look at his thin frame and basically tell him he is completely screwed. To them, he looks like a stiff breeze could snap him in half, making him the ultimate reject of the first round. But just as they are about to laugh him off, the air gets freezing. Eunseol releases a wave of genuine killing intent that is so heavy, it actually makes the instructors freeze.
Even with trash tier bones, the kid has the eyes of a cold-blooded assassin.
Despite the scary eyes, they still fail him. Eunseol isn't even surprised, he spent his entire life looking after corpses instead of practicing fancy sword moves. He has zero foundation, and in a world where muscles are king, he is a peasant.
The rejection pile starts getting salty, and one guy loses it, screaming that judging someone purely on their bones is unfair.
He wants a real chance to prove he is a main character, not realizing he is just background fodder for the instructors. The head instructor basically tells them to shut up because bones and muscles are the literal blueprints for martial arts.
But because he is feeling spicy, he offers a pity trial for the weaklings who still think they have a chance to survive.
This second trial is where the unorthodox part of the Demon Palace really shines. There are no forms, no points, and no referees. It is just raw, unfiltered chaos designed to see who has the most demon in them. The rules are simple: fight everyone around you and survive until only one person is left standing. It is a literal battle royale where the prize is a spot in the academy and the consolation prize is a one-way ticket to the afterlife. The candidates are horrified, realizing they have to murder the person standing next to them. But while the others are hesitating, one aggressive guy decides to start the party early. He spots Eunseol, the weakest-looking kid, and decides he is the perfect first victim.
This spear-wielding simp launches a full-power thrust at Eunseol, screaming for him to die.
He thinks he is getting an easy kill to start the trial, but he has no idea he is about to find out exactly why our boy was radiating all that terrifying killing intent.
The blade is inches from Eunseol's face, and the chapter ends on a massive cliffhanger. Will the corpse cleaner finally show us some hidden skills, or is his journey to become a demon master ending before it even starts?
Stay tuned, because the bloodbath is just beginning.
You want to see a local psycho ruin a girl's day?
The trial officially hits the fan when Wei Wencheng decides the candidate known as Red Dragon is surplus to requirements, turning her into a human kebab, and leaving the entire crowd wondering if they signed up for a trial or a slaughterhouse. While this absolute madman is busy boasting about his first kill, the observers realize he is actually a walking cheat code.
He might have a frame as weak as a wet paper towel, but his reflexes are so sharp he managed to bypass her ribs and strike her heart with the precision of a surgeon on a caffeine high.
Wencheng is out here acting like he is the main character of a tragedy, challenging the rest of the mob to step up if they want to get skewered next.
It is peak edgelord behavior that proves the guy has zero common sense but enough arrogance to fill a palace.
The battlefield turns into a literal ocean of blood within seconds, as the candidates, who aren't used to seeing their friends turned into pastrami, completely lose their minds.
Their senses are paralyzed by the kind of fear that only comes when you realize you are next on the menu.
Amidst the chaos, Eunseol is playing 4D chess while everyone else is playing tag with knives.
He realizes that making yourself a prominent threat in a mosh pit like this is basically just putting a giant kick me sign on your back for every other hungry candidate.
While the screams of the dying are providing the background music, Eunseol stays as cold as an ice cube in winter.
He knows the head instructor did not just say kill everyone, he said survive, and there is a massive difference between a mindless murderer and a survivor.
Our boy vows to live no matter how many bodies he has to step over, adopting the calculated focus of an Undertaker during a plague.
He is moving through the carnage with a rational mindset that makes all these other screaming idiots look like total amateurs.
He is not just wandering around aimlessly though, as he stops to analyze the handiwork left on the corpses. He notices thin, persistent sword marks that suggest someone is out here unleashing a flurry of strikes with a blade so slender it makes a needle look fat. Suddenly, a wild generic candidate appears, mocking Eunseol for looking like a pathetic loser. He starts ridiculing the box Eunseol is carrying, calling him a peddler of temple relics and acting like he is about to get an easy kill on the weakest guy in the room.
This loudmouthed clown thinks he is a big deal until the literal embodiment of bad news shows up.
Nung Woongang enters the chat and deletes the aggressive candidate before he can even finish his sentence, effectively saving our protagonist from a very annoying headache. Woongang is not exactly the humble type, telling Eunseol not to bother thanking him for the rescue. He is basically the new apex predator on the field, and everyone with half a brain cell can feel the shift in the atmosphere the moment he draws his weapon. The instructors watching from the sidelines immediately recognize the massive red flag Woongang is carrying. It turns out he is wielding the Extermination Sword, the legendary legacy of Black Soul, who was basically the goated wanderer swordsman back in the day. This kid is a self-taught monster who found a secret manual in a secluded valley and decided to become a legend. His forms are as unpolished as a jagged rock and his movements leave openings wide enough to drive a carriage through, yet he is still a top-tier candidate for the 10 Demon Masters. The instructors agree that while he is technically a greenhorn who is unworthy of the sword's hilt, there is absolutely nobody on this field of battle who can match his raw power. He is the unofficial king of the hill, and he knows it, looking down on everyone else like they are just ants. Eunseol continues his silent autopsy of the battlefield, noting that the cut marks Woongang leaves behind are surprisingly rough and unrefined. Meanwhile, Woongang approaches him, expressing genuine shock that a weakling like Eunseol actually managed to survive until the final act. Woongang declares that killing Eunseol will be the final cherry on top of his victory sundae, but he has no idea who he is messing with. Despite facing the strongest fighter in the arena, Eunseol stays completely unfazed because he has already figured out the legendary swordsman's fatal weakness. Meet Nung Woongang, a guy who clearly skipped the lesson on how to avoid being a generic mid-boss.
He is standing in a literal sea of corpses, feeling himself way too much because he thinks killing our boy Eunseol is his golden ticket to becoming a candidate for the 10 Demon Masters.
On the other side, we have Eunseol, who looks like he just wants to go home and take a nap. Woongang is sizing him up like a snack, but little does this muscle-brained clown know, looking weak is the ultimate trap in this world. The fight kicks off and Woongang starts swinging like he is trying to swat a fly. He is actually laughing, mocking Eunseol for his clumsy dodging.
He thinks the kid is just lucky, but if you have watched more than 2 minutes of any manhwa, you know that luck has nothing to do with it.
Look at this movement. Woongang is going full throttle, yet he cannot land a single clean hit. He is getting frustrated because his prey is slipping through his fingers like grease, and honestly, seeing this arrogant bully miss is incredibly satisfying.
The high-ranking observers in the back finally realize something is up.
Eunseol is not just dodging, he is twisting his body at the last possible millisecond to avoid fatal wounds. It is high-level physics being used to make a powerhouse look like a total amateur. Here is the real kicker that has the elders shaking. RMC did not just train hard, he spent his free time studying the corpses on the battlefield. He literally memorized Woongang's attack patterns by looking at how he butchered everyone else. That is some psycho-level observation right there. Despite being covered in shallow cuts, Eunseol drops the ultimate insult. He looks this legendary warrior in the eye and tells him his sword techniques are pathetic. The audacity. You can almost hear Woongang's ego shattering into a million pieces. The onlookers are genuinely worried now.
They see Eunseol's frail body and think there is no way he can actually land a counterattack.
Meanwhile, Woongang has completely lost his cool, deciding to grant Eunseol's wish for a quick death by charging in with everything he has got. This is the moment Eunseol was waiting for.
He knows that when Woongang goes into a murderous rage, he always aims for the upper body and vital points.
It is a predictable pattern, and predictability is a death sentence when you are fighting a genius. The tension is through the roof as the final strike approaches. Eunseol is not running anymore, he is positioning himself for the one and only opening he needs. It is a high-stakes gamble where the loser gets a one-way trip to the afterlife. Flashback time. Eunseol remembers his grandfather teaching him about the Tiantu acupoint. Apparently, even the strongest martial master cannot harden this spot. It is the literal off-switch for the human body, and Eunseol is aiming right for the throat. With a strike so precise it would make a surgeon jealous, Eunseol hits the mark. Woongang's eyes go wide as his entire system shuts down. Imagine being a powerhouse and getting one-tapped by a kid you called a weakling. The embarrassment alone should kill him. Down goes the giant. The battlefield goes silent as the powerhouse hits the dirt. It is a total upset that no one saw coming, except for maybe us. Eunseol stands there, looking absolutely drained but victorious. The head instructor steps in and officially declares Eunseol the winner of the second trial. The crowd is in shock, but our MC does not even have the energy to celebrate. He has pushed his body way past its limit just to survive this circus. Right after the win, Eunseol's lights go out.
He collapses from the massive blood loss, and honestly, he earned that nap.
But his mind is not resting. He is slipping into a dark, haunting dream where his grandfather is calling out to him.
The dream sequence is straight-up nightmare fuel. We see Eunseol searching for his grandfather in a void, but the man is just a shadow.
It is a heavy reminder that his past is just as broken as the world he is trying to survive in.
The vision gets even creepier. His grandfather's figure is distorted, and the red eyes are a clear sign that something is very wrong.
This is not a happy reunion. It is a psychological trauma fest that hints at the dark secrets lurking in Eunseol's lineage.
Eunseol snaps awake, gasping for air.
He is not on the battlefield anymore, he is in the hull of a ship.
He realizes he must have been out for a while, and the rocking of the waves tells him they are already on the move to the next nightmare.
He checks his wounds and is shocked to find they have been treated perfectly. He hardly feels any pain, which means the demonic palace used some high-level physician on him. They are keeping him alive, but only because they want to see him suffer in the next round. Eunseol looks around and sees the other survivors. These are the elites who passed the first trial, and they are all staring at him with pure contempt.
They think he just got lucky against Woongang, ignoring the fact that he outplayed a master.
The ship finally reaches its destination, and the vibe is immediately terrible. The candidates are ordered to disembark, and we get our first look at the dreaded Hell Island. The sky is red, the terrain is jagged, and the air smells like death. Welcome to the next trial, kids. Hell Island is where the real slaughter begins, and Eunseol is walking in with a target on his back.
If you thought the arena was bad, you are not ready for the absolute chaos that is about to go down on this rock.
Welcome to Hell Island, the ultimate vacation spot for people who enjoy suffering.
Our candidates land on this rock and are immediately told to strip. No, it is not that kind of party. They have to ditch their fancy clan clothes and weapons because in the Demon Palace, your daddy's money does not mean a thing. The instructors are not playing around. You want a sword? Take the standard issue one. You want a bed? Go find a hole in a rock. It is a literal scramble for real estate as they are told to pick their own caves, and you just know the drama is about to peak. Look at these clowns. They are actually fighting over who gets the most comfortable cave like they are at a 5-star resort.
Local simps and prestigious clan kids are already throwing hands over the best spots, completely forgetting that they barely survived a bloodbath 5 minutes ago.
Our boy Eunseol is just standing there, watching the circus. He is the only one with a working brain, realizing that these prestigious heirs have already lowered their guard. He knows the second trial was just a giant filter to get rid of the trash, and these guys are acting like the hard part is over. One of the instructors is keeping a close eye on Eunseol.
He thinks our MC looks sluggish and weak, wondering how a guy with the physical build of a wet noodle managed to survive the slaughter.
Little does he know, a cold heart and a sharp brain are the deadliest weapons on this island. When it is time to choose a room, Eunseol picks the absolute worst cave available. It is small, it is cramped, and it looks like it belongs to a very depressed badger. The other candidates are literally laughing at him, calling his choice as foul and disgusting as his dirty clothes.
But wait, the instructor realizes our boy is playing 4D chess.
That tiny entrance is a perfect choke point for defense against intruders, and the inside is actually massive. While the other idiots are sleeping in fancy caves with giant targets on their backs, Eunseol has built himself a fortress. Time for the orientation. Hell Island is basically a buffet of murder techniques, featuring 10 different martial arts facilities. Each one holds the secrets of a different demonic sect, and the instructors are handing out the keys to the kingdom. The catch? You have total freedom over your schedule. You can learn one, you can learn them all, or you can just sit in the dirt and contemplate your life choices. It sounds like a dream, but in a place called Hell Island, freedom is usually just another word for a death sentence. You want to sleep? Go ahead. You want to play? Sure thing. Eunseol is immediately smelling a rat. He knows the Demon Palace does not give out free passes. This peaceful vibe is 100% a trap designed to make the weak even lazier before the next slaughter starts. The sheep immediately start following the herd. Everyone is rushing toward the Fire Rain Sword sect because they heard it is the most powerful.
It is the classic meta-slave move, picking the most popular class because they are too scared to innovate or think for themselves.
Eunseol decides to walk the path less traveled. He is ignoring the hype and heading toward a desolate, run-down area. He is not interested in being another sword-swinging clone in a crowd of targets. He wants something that will actually keep him alive when the real horror begins. He arrives at the Wandering Beast Pavilion, a place that looks like it has not been cleaned since the last era. It used to produce the absolute strongest masters in history, but now it has plummeted so far down that it barely counts as a sect. It is the ultimate underdog choice. Just as he is checking out the ruins, the ground starts throwing a tantrum. A massive earthquake hits, and something is literally digging its way up from the dirt. Talk about a dramatic entrance for a guy who probably just wanted a nap in his underground lair. Out pops Sa Wu, the secret pavilion master. He looks like he eats rocks for breakfast and does not have time for visitors.
He is basically the final boss of grumpy old men, and he is not happy to see a scrawny kid standing on his lawn.
Sa Wu takes one look at Eunseol's fragile frame and tells him to get lost before he accidentally dies. He has no intention of teaching his secrets to someone who looks like they would break if the wind blew too hard. He is basically roasting our MC's entire existence and calling him a fragile brat. But Eunseol is not budging. He tells the big guy that the Wandering Beast techniques are his only chance to gain the power necessary to survive anything.
Sa Wu drops a truth bomb. Their training begins with a brutal modification of the physical body that would kill a normal person in a day.
Most people would run for their lives, but Eunseol just drops to the ground and bows. He is like, cool, thanks for the warning, master. He is officially paying his respects, forcing the grumbling Sa Wu to accept him because the Demon Palace orders are the only thing the old man respects. Sa Wu is grumbling like a broken engine, but he accepts the crazy brat. He makes it clear he is only doing this because the palace told him to.
He is not happy about it, but he is about to become the worst nightmare Eunseol has ever faced.
The master tells him to call him Mr. Sa from now on and immediately strips Eunseol of his identity. No more boo Eunseol, you are just trainee number 1. It is time to forget your name and focus on not dying during the first hour of training. RMC is about to go through a physical transformation that would make a horror movie look like a comedy.
Mr. Saw is ready to get started right away, and by the look in his eyes, he is going to enjoy every second of Eunseol's suffering.
Let the real hell begin.
Imagine thinking you still have a name after meeting this guy.
Sawu officially introduces himself as the master of the Wandering Night Pavilion and immediately demotes our boy Eunseol to trainee number 1. Talk about a toxic workplace environment. Before the kid can even process his new rank, Sawu decides it is time for a little magic trick. He uses a secret technique to seal the kid's vision temporarily. No blindfold, just straight-up mystical blindness because regular training is for losers. Everything goes pitch black. Our main lead is officially playing life on hard mode now. Sawu is out here acting like a psycho duke, deleting eyeballs for the sake of progress. This is not just for fun, though. Sawu explains that losing his sight is a necessary step to master the Wandering Beast path. It is the foundational martial art of their pavilion, and it sounds like a total nightmare. The goal is to heighten every other sense and get reflexes like a beast. But there is a catch: the technique manifests differently for everyone. There is no manual for this madness, just vibes and suffering. Sawu drops the real bombshell: the mortality rate for this training is basically 100% for regular people. Most students end up as corpses long before they ever get those beast-like senses. Great way to motivate the new hire, right? You will earn the senses of a wandering beast, he says, while looking like he is about to feast on the kid's soul. Most people die before that point, but hey, details, details. Master Saw tells the kid he should get used to the darkness in about an hour and then just dips. He leaves our boy alone in the middle of nowhere, blind and fumbling like a simp at a fan meet. Eunseol is struggling, big time. He expected his other senses to just kick in like a superpower, but instead, he is just a blind kid crawling on the grass. Waiting an hour feels like an eternity when your life is on the line.
The young Undertaker realizes he does not have the luxury of time.
He is in a competition where enemies could jump him at any second. He starts moving around frantically, trying to find his balance in a world of shadows. He is basically shadowboxing with his own imagination. He knows that if his balance goes, he is as good as dead. It is a desperate scramble to survive the darkness he was just shoved into. Little does he know, Sawu is lurking in the shadows like a creep. The master is actually impressed because most trainees just sit there waiting for their senses to return. But our boy, he is out here fighting ghosts. Sawu notes how unique this kid is. Instead of being a passive victim, he is actively training against fake enemies. The adjustment speed is absolutely cracked, and the master is starting to see some real potential. Time to step up the heat. Sawu returns and sees that the kid has already gotten used to the lack of vision. It is time to stop playing with imaginary friends and face a real threat. Sawu draws his sword and tells the kid to try evading it. No pressure, just a masterclass swordsman trying to turn you into a shish kebab while you are still blind. The training just went from 0 to 100 real fast. Fast forward 3 days into this brutal training and it is raining cats and dogs. Our boy is looking rough, covered in dirt and probably questioning all his life choices, but he is still standing. Sawu is low-key shocked.
Most students would be crying or asking why their life sucks so much, but Eunseol hasn't questioned the method or the theory once.
He is just taking the beatings like a champ. When asked why he is so quiet, Eunseol says he knows the pavilion arts require reaching enlightenment on your own. He trusts his master has a reason for the madness. Sawu just smirks, realizing he has a real one on his hands. Back to the sparring and things get trippy. Eunseol starts to have a massive breakthrough.
He is not just hearing the wind anymore. He is starting to visualize the exact path of the blade in his mind.
The world becomes a glitchy map of lines and energy. He can see it. The sword's path is laid bare before him. It is like he unlocked a cheat code in the middle of a boss fight. An attack comes in that is way too fast to dodge.
Most people would just accept their fate and become a statistic, but our boy decides he is not going out like that.
He blocks it. He actually blocks a silent strike from the master himself. Sa Wu's face says it all, total, utter disbelief. Blocking that after only 3 days of training is straight up illegal. The impact is massive, and Eunseol is definitely feeling the pain, but the feat is accomplished. He is surviving things that should have killed him 10 times over by now. After the session, Sa Wu hands him a bamboo cup.
The kid thinks it is just water, but one sip and his body feels like it is being recharged by a lightning bolt.
His lost blood is coming back and energy is surging.
Turns out, Sa Wu just gave him the ultimate spring spiritual water. This stuff is a legendary treasure the master has been hoarding his entire life. He just used his retirement fund on a 3-day-old trainee. Sa Wu looks at the kid and finally admits it to himself. He has found it. After waiting his entire life, he finally met a once-in-a-lifetime genius. The Wandering Night Pavilion is about to get a lot more terrifying.
You thought the training was over? Think again.
The final echoes of their brutal duel are still ringing through the air while our boy Eunseol is out here fighting for his life against a literal human tank. This is not just a spar, it is a full-blown survival horror experience. Eunseol is dodging strikes that could flatten a mountain, and the tension is so thick you could cut it with his chipped sword.
Just when you think he is cooked, the dust settles and Eunseol finally catches his breath.
His vision is back, and he is staring at the most terrifyingly happy man on this cursed island.
Mr.
Sa is not just impressed, he is practically foaming at the mouth with joy.
He starts laughing like a maniac because he realized he just stumbled upon a once-in-a-century genius.
Look at this guy. He is so hyped that he tells Eunseol to forget that trashy 10 Demon Masters competition and just become his official disciple instead. Talk about a massive shortcut. He promises to turn our young Undertaker into a top-tier martial master within 10 years. Usually, any sane person would sell their soul for this offer, but Eunseol has got that main character energy.
Our boy is thinking about his grandfather's murderer.
He knows that if he wants to settle that blood debt, mastering just one pavilion style is not going to cut it.
He needs to be a monster. Eunseol looks him dead in the eye and reaffirms his goal. He is going to become a demon master. Mr.
Sa thinks he is delusional because even the legends of the past could not pull that off.
Time for a quick lore dump. Mr. Sa explains that martial arts are limited by your physique and energy. Trying to master everything is a one-way ticket to a literal internal explosion. Seeing that the kid is a stubborn brat, Mr.
Sa decides to drop a truth bomb.
He reveals that those lethal sword strikes he was spamming earlier? Yeah, those were the secret forms of the wild beast path.
Eunseol realizes he was being taught the ultimate techniques while he was busy trying not to die.
The realization hits him harder than one of Mr. Sa's actual punches. Feeling the weight of the debt, especially after those expensive elixirs, Eunseol bows in deep gratitude. But Mr. Sa is a savage. He tells the kid to forget favors and grudges if he wants to survive. As Eunseol walks away, the old master watches him like a proud, slightly psychopathic father.
He calls him a hidden dragon and predicts a bloody storm is about to wreck Hell Island.
But being a genius is exhausting. Eunseol's newly sharpened senses are so intense that he can hear a leaf fall from 3 miles away, and it is giving him a massive migraine. He has to learn how to suppress this overwhelming awareness. He imagines stopping a single water droplet just to keep his brain from frying. Talk about high-maintenance powers. The Demon Palace is not a vacation home, and time is ticking. Eunseol decides his next stop is the Fire Rain Sword sect, the most prestigious and snobby group of the 10 demonic sects. He shows up at the Grand Hall, and wow, this place is like a palace compared to the dusty hut he just left. But the welcome committee is less than friendly. Meet the new instructor, Jean Gak. He sees Eunseol arriving half a month late and immediately assumes the kid is a lazy slacker or a total failure from the other trials.
When Eunseol mentions the Wandering Beast Pavilion, Jean Gak basically roasts him, thinking he got kicked out because the previous master found him too annoying to deal with.
Despite the warnings that their sword style is insanely complex, Eunseol insists on starting the trial. He is not here to play games, he is here to collect every OP skill on the island. Jin-gak finally hands over a manual containing the introductory forms of the Fire Rain's 13 forms. He tells the boy to study the text and let the movements flow like a pro. Eunseol stares at the manual, and for the first time, the invincible genius looks completely lost. The instructor is waiting for him to start, but there is one tiny problem. The tension is building up as Eunseol just stands there like a statue.
Jin-gak is starting to lose his patience, thinking the kid is just trying to look cool while doing nothing. This is the moment where we realize that having a god-tier body doesn't mean you have a god-tier education.
Eunseol is looking at the pages like they are written in alien hieroglyphics.
Finally, the truth comes out and it is absolutely hilarious.
Our lethal, dragon-level martial genius admits he has no idea how to actually read a sword manual. Jin-gak's face is pure gold. He spent all that time acting tough just to find out he is teaching a kid who is functionally illiterate. Welcome to the elite sect, I guess. You are telling me this kid has been out here bodying people without a single day of formal training?
Instructor Jin-gak is losing his mind because our boy Eunseol is a total noob who does not even know the basic sword steps.
Imagine being a top-tier martial artist and realizing your star pupil is literally just vibing. But hold on, because the instructor starts having a minor existential crisis.
He looks back at Eunseol's insane reactions and realizes the kid is a literal blank canvas.
If he actually learns the rules, he is going to be a menace to society. It is the classic "he is a natural" trope, and we are all here for it. Since Eunseol actually knows how to read, unlike some of the other meatheads in this sect, Jin-gak throws the foundational principles at him. It is all about full body relaxation and softly flowing into one. Basically, stop being so stiff or you are going to get clapped in a real fight. Our boy is struggling because his body is as tense as a guitar string. Jin-gak has to literally get hands-on to help him relax his core and waist. It is a humble beginning for someone who is supposed to be a demon master, but hey, even legends have to start with basic stretching. And just like that, Eunseol fixes his posture after being told exactly once. Jin-gak's face says it all, this kid is a freak of nature. Most students take weeks to stop looking like a wet noodle, but our protagonist is already speedrunning the basics like it is nothing. No more baby steps. Jin-gak decides to drop the Fire Rain 13 forms on him immediately. He explains that the ticket to the intermediate chamber is manifesting real sword intent against an imaginary enemy. It is time to see if Eunseol has that dog in him or if he is just a lucky amateur. Eunseol locks in. He knows this is his shot to prove he belongs among the monsters. He starts visualizing the one person he hates more than anything. If you are going to swing a sword, you might as well aim it at the person who ruined your life, right? Talk about motivation. The air in the room shifts as Eunseol prepares for the exam. This is not just a demo, it is a declaration of war. He is looking for that intermediate chamber pass, and he is willing to hallucinate a whole battlefield just to get it. The instructor can already feel the temperature rising.
Within his mind, the enemy appears.
Eunseol is not playing around, he is visualizing the specific monster he is destined to put in the ground. The killing intent is so thick you could carve it with a dull butter knife. He is not just training, he is practicing a funeral service. He kicks things off with the first technique, Peerless Whirlwind. It is fast, it is violent, and it is definitely not what the instructor expected. Jin-gak is watching from the sidelines like, wait, that is not how I taught him, because our boy is already putting his own spicy twist on the moves. Then comes the third technique, Foggy Drifting Clouds. Usually, this move is supposed to be soft and spirited, like a gentle mist. But in Eunseol's hands? It is more like a jagged blade wrapped in a storm. He is taking the orthodox path and turning it into a highway to the graveyard. Jin-gak is officially shook.
He realizes Eunseol is consciously changing the basic moves of a technique passed down for generations.
This is the kind of stuff only grandmasters do after decades of meditation, but this kid is doing it on his first day. Talk about a massive flex on the entire sect. Every swing is dripping with a terrifying level of killing intent. It is like he is facing the person who murdered his entire family right there in the room.
The instructor is starting to wonder what kind of trauma this kid went through to have eyes that look like they belong to a seasoned executioner.
Deep inside his soul, the wild beast path starts acting up. His senses are sharpening to a point that is honestly illegal. The beast is fusing with the fire rain forms, and the sword paths are starting to change on their own. He is not even controlling the sword anymore, the sword is just following his instinct to kill. The hallucination hits its peak.
The bastard who killed his grandfather shows up in his mind, moving faster than anything he has ever seen.
Eunseol is trapped with no room to dodge, forced to face the ultimate nightmare. Most people would crumble, but our boy just grips his sword tighter.
Driven to the absolute brink, he pours every ounce of his soul into a final strike, overturning 4 seas. The mental battle is pure chaos, and in his own mind, Eunseol actually loses the exchange.
He collapses, gasping for air, thinking he failed the most important test of his life.
The intensity of that last move was so high that the whole chamber feels like it just went through a blender.
Eunseol is convinced he is a loser, but he does not realize that the instructor is currently standing there in a state of total awe.
You do not just pull off a move like that and fail. Surprise! Jean Gak tells him he passed. He is not just passed, he is basically the valedictorian of violence. His execution and understanding of the sword were so incredible that the instructor is almost scared of him. Eunseol is just confused because he is still stuck on the fact that he died in his vision. Eunseol gives a sincere thanks to Jean Gak for not giving up on a total amateur. The instructor gives him one last warning: do not let that massive killing intent consume you, or you will end up as a monster. It is a heavy warning, but let us be real, our boy was born in the darkness anyway. As he walks toward the intermediate chamber, Jean Gak is still processing the fact that this kid mastered the wild beast path in a literal fortnight. He is speedrunning the entire sex curriculum. At this rate, he will be the boss of the place by next Tuesday. But of course, there is always a hater. He arrives at the next trial only to be met by instructor Cheon Woongang, who is a total red flag. This guy tells Eunseol to buzz off because the spots are full. Little does he know, he just tried to gatekeep a literal demon. Good luck with that, buddy. Eunseol finally rolls up to the intermediate chamber, but the instructor is already on his case like a toxic ex. He actually has the nerve to call our boy a slow learner because he spent 20 days on the basic forms. But wait, Eunseol drops a total bomb, revealing he was actually chilling at the Wandering Night Pavilion for 2 weeks. The instructor immediately assumes he is a quitter who couldn't handle the legendary wild beast path. Talk about jumping to conclusions. Despite the shade, the teacher lets him take a seat but warns everyone that the fire rain thundering sword is high speed and high stakes. If you are a scrub with the blade, you are basically going to turn yourself into a human kebab. The instructor starts preaching about how this chamber is for sharpening prowess and precision, not just winning.
Yeah, okay. Tell that to the group of bloodthirsty teenagers behind you who clearly didn't get the memo.
Enter Byok Hansung, the resident tryhard. When told to pick a dueling partner, he immediately points at Eunseol. He really chose the new kid who just stepped out of the elementary trial? This guy is the definition of a bully looking for an easy win.
Even the instructor thinks this is a total scam and tries to stop the match.
He knows Hansung is just trying to stat pad his reputation by beating up a beginner. But Hansung is committed to the villain arc. Plot twist. Eunseol doesn't even flinch and says he is totally fine with the duel. He is actually eager to test out the skills he learned from instructor Jean Gak against a moving target. He is literally inviting the smoke. The instructor just sighs and lets it happen, convinced that Eunseol is just a delusional kid trying to protect his bruised ego. He tells them to go ahead, probably expecting to see a one-sided beatdown. The duel officially begins and Hansung is grinning like he already won the lottery. Their swords clash for the first time, and he is already mocking Eunseol for having zero experience. Oh buddy, you have no idea what is coming. Hansung starts swinging with the fire rain thundering sword, looking like he is trying to paint the walls with our boy. But Eunseol is just Not there. He is dodging every single strike like he is playing a game on easy mode. Hansung is getting tilted because his big flashy moves are hitting nothing but air.
He starts screaming about showing the true power of the sword.
Sir, your insecurity is showing and it is not a good look. The instructor is starting to have a midlife crisis watching this.
He realizes Eunseol isn't just fast. He is literally predicting every single move before Hansung even makes it.
This is the mastery of the wild beast path in action. He tries to convince himself that no one, not even a genius gifted by the heavens, could master that art in only 2 weeks. Still, he demands that Eunseol stop playing tag and actually show some sword skill. Eunseol finally decides to stop the cardio session and shifts his stance. He initiates the Fire Rain 13 forms, and the atmosphere in the room completely changes. This isn't the basic stuff they teach in class.
Hansung is sweating now because he realizes Eunseol's movements are subtly and dangerously different.
It is like a variant version that is 10 times more lethal. Our boy was really holding back this entire time. Feeling totally mocked and desperate to reach the advanced chamber, Hansung decides to throw the rules out the window. He abandons the trial style and prepares to use a forbidden killing move from the Azure Sword sect.
He unleashes the blood-shattering strike, a lethal technique meant for actual murder.
The instructor recognizes it immediately but is too stunned to stop it. This went from a sparring match to a death match real quick. Even against a literal assassination technique, Eunseol stays perfectly balanced.
He doesn't panic or lose his footing for a second.
The instructor is shook by how calm this kid is in the face of death. Hansung pours every ounce of his saltiness into one final, most powerful attack.
He thinks this is the end for Eunseol.
Little does he know, he just walked right into the ultimate counterattack. Eunseol doesn't even blink. He transitions perfectly into the 13th form of the Fire Rain style, infinite and boundless. It is a masterclass in precision that leaves everyone in the room breathless. There is a flash of movement and a sound that definitely wasn't a wooden sword hitting practice armor. The speed is so insane that half the students didn't even see what happened. The dust clears and the room goes dead silent.
The onlookers are looking on in pure horror as they realize the weakling beginner just pulled off a miracle.
The duel is over in a heartbeat. Hansung, the guy who wanted to solidify his reputation by killing a kid, is now just a cooling corpse on the floor. He really fumbled the bag that hard. Everyone is staring at Eunseol like he is a monster. He just took out a top student with a single counter. Moral of the story, if you are going to be a bully, at least make sure your target isn't a secret martial arts god. Imagine going for a friendly spar and ending up as a permanent resident of the local morgue.
Hansung really thought he was the main character until our boy landed a precise strike to his vitals, leaving him deader than my social life.
The instructor, Cheon Woongang, is looking at this scene like it is a Yelp review gone wrong. He is less worried about the murder and more obsessed with how this kid mastered the wild beast path in just 2 weeks while everyone else is still struggling with the tutorial. RMC is out here gaslighting the master, claiming he only learned the basics.
The instructor is basically calling cap, wondering if the Wandering Night Pavilion is now offering a PhD in professional lying alongside their martial arts curriculum.
The rest of the candidates are having a total meltdown, screaming for Eunseol to be punished like a bunch of entitled Karens.
But Cheon is not having it, releasing an aura that basically tells them to shut their mouths or be the next one on the floor. Welcome to Hell Island, where the rules are simple. If you use a move meant to kill, you better have your funeral prepaid. The instructor makes it clear that in this place, death is just another Tuesday, and mercy is a word they deleted from the dictionary. Looking at the crowd of losers, the master decides he is bored of teaching mid-tier simps.
He tells the entire group they have failed because they lack the blood, sweat, and tears required to be actual legends.
It is a mass eviction, and it is honestly hilarious. He tells them to screw off and find another chamber because they lack the talent to even sniff the Fire Rain sword technique. Imagine getting fired from your dream job because you are just too basic. That is the energy here. While everyone else is busy packing their bags in shame, Eunseol is just standing there like a glitch in the Matrix. The master is confused, asking why he has not left yet since he actually passed the trial and should be moving on to the big leagues. Plot twist. Our boy wants to stay in the intermediate chamber.
He realizes he is a fraud who only knows one style and actually wants to learn the fundamentals.
It is rare to see a manhwa lead admit he is a noob, but here we are. The instructor is actually impressed by this honesty. He agrees to teach him the Fire Rain Thundering Sword, but there is a catch. If he catches Eunseol using any more secret tricks or playing games, he is going to behead him on the spot. No pressure, right? He really hates little tricks meant to make an impression. The master looks like a total psycho duke here, promising a one-way ticket to the afterlife if Eunseol hides any other techniques.
Our MC just stares back, probably thinking about his revenge list.
Fast forward 4 days and the master is having a midlife crisis.
He realized that Eunseol was not lying. The kid literally had zero fundamentals.
He is watching the boy swing a sword like a toddler with a stick, yet the progress is terrifyingly fast. Eunseol has the kind of concentration that would make a monk look like he has ADHD.
The master realizes that this kid is training as if his life depends on it, probably because he knows that if he fails, his enemies will turn him into a memory.
During a high-stakes practice of the extreme lightning move, the master has to step in. Eunseol is looking like a straight-up demon, pouring so much murderous intent into his strikes that the atmosphere is turning toxic. The instructor tells him to stop before he accidentally kills the air. He explains that while demonic arts need that edgy, I hate the world energy, focusing too much on the killing aspect is going to ruin his future potential. Apparently, the Fire Rain Sword is supposed to be about more than just ending lives. The master warns that if he cannot let go of that murder boner in his heart, he is just going to create a martial art that eventually destroys his own body. We get a glimpse into the instructor's tragic backstory. He used to be a killing machine too, but it cost him his honor, his pride, and his power.
He is basically a walking cautionary tale for anyone who thinks being a psycho is a personality trait.
He talks about how the path of the sword is stained with despair. It is deep, it is edgy, and it is exactly what Eunseol needs to hear before he goes full villain mode.
The master is trying to save the kid from becoming a mindless slayer.
After learning the boy is named Eunseol, the master connects the dots. This is the legendary survivor that instructor Jean Gak was hyping up.
Suddenly, the master realizes he is dealing with a once-in-a-generation talent who is also a total red flag.
There is a massive problem, though. The elites in the advanced chamber have been training since they were in diapers. Eunseol is a late bloomer, and the gap between them is wider than the MC's trauma. He needs a shortcut, and he needs it now. To give him a fighting chance, the master offers to teach him his personal secret technique, unrivaled lightning and thunder. It sounds cool, but the fine print says it is basically a suicide mission that usually ends in permanent disability. The master shows off his own hand, which has no nerve endings left thanks to this technique. He is basically saying, "Hey kid, want to be a cripple like me?" It is the ultimate test of how far Eunseol is willing to go for his vengeance. Most people would run away, but Eunseol is not most people. He looks the master in the eye with those glowing red "I have nothing to lose" pupils and accepts the risk without blinking. He is ready to trade his very soul for power. He thanks the master, declaring that even his soul is a small price to pay for revenge. The chapter ends with our MC looking like a true menace, ready to break his own body just to make sure his enemies suffer. This is the peak revenge at all costs energy we live for. Imagine grinding for a whole month just to learn how to play with static electricity. Our boy finally masters the unrivaled lightning and thunder, basically graduating from the kids' table of the intermediate chamber. He steps into the advanced chamber and the vibe check is immediate. This place is crawling with elite trainees who actually look like they have had a bath and some proper training, unlike the scrub-tier mobs he left behind. The air is thick with a different level of ferocity, but Eunseol notices something hilarious. Nobody is looking at him like he is trash anymore. Turns out, murdering a top-tier student like Bayak Hansung is a great way to update your social status from loser to danger zone. He starts reflecting on how twisted this world is. If you clean up dead bodies, you are the lowest of the low, But if you are the one making the bodies with a sword, people treat you like a celebrity. The irony is thicker than the plot armor. Before he can even settle in, the instructor invites him to join the big boy class. They are diving deep into the 7 teachings and the fire rain sword, because clearly, regular rain just is not edgy enough for these guys. The lesson is all about balance, telling these guys to pull in their chests and push their backs out like they are trying to win a weird posture contest.
Eunseol realizes all those basic drills he hated were actually the secret sauce to understanding this advanced stuff.
The verbal lecture wraps up, but the instructor is not done with him yet. He tells Eunseol to follow him, probably to a more private place where he can drop some massive lore bombs or just beat him up for fun. This old master starts getting all philosophical, talking about a realm where you do not even need a physical sword to delete your enemies. It is the classic "the sword is in your heart" trope that every OP old man loves to flex. To test the kid's brain, the master asks a hypothetical. What do you do if you are suddenly jumped while being completely unarmed? It is a pop quiz, but the stakes involve not getting your head taken off.
The instructor reminds him that while he was playing in the lower chambers, these trainees were already mastering the shining mystique.
He basically tells Eunseol to answer carefully or he might find himself back at the bottom of the food chain.
Eunseol thinks he is being smart and says he would just take his opponent's sword and use it against them.
The master just sighs, calling that choice way too hasty, and immediately decides to show him why that logic is flawed.
A sudden spar explodes and Eunseol realizes he is in way over his head.
The old man is moving with speed that should be illegal for someone that age. It is not even a fight, it is a live-action tutorial on how to get schooled. He cannot even predict where the next strike is coming from. The master is popping up behind him like a jump scare in a horror movie. Eunseol is sweating bullets because he knows if he does not impress this guy, his stay in the advanced chamber will be a very short one. He is desperate now, pushing the wild beast path to its absolute limit just to keep his eyes on the target. He is trying to read the flow of direction, but the master is basically a glitch in the matrix at this point.
Every fiber of his being is screaming to keep up.
He is tapping into that primal instinct, trying to catch even a glimpse of an opening, but it is like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. He lunges forward, betting everything on one single touch. Even if he can just graze the master, it would be a win. But the gap in power is like a mountain compared to a pebble, and he gets sent flying back into the dirt. After getting thoroughly humbled, Eunseol expects a lecture on how bad he is. Instead, the instructor starts laughing and tells him he passes. Apparently, having the guts to even try and read his movements was enough to earn a good job sticker. The master promises to start teaching him the shining mystique the very next morning. He tells him to show up earlier than everyone else, because being the favorite student always comes with a side of sleep deprivation. The instructor watches him leave, clearly seeing something special in the kid. He mentions that even a cub is still a wolf, which is a very poetic way of saying this brat is going to be a menace later. As the sun sets on the island, the master reflects on his high expectations. The visuals are stunning, but you just know this peaceful sunset is the calm before the storm because this island never stays quiet for long. Later that night, Eunseol decides to go for a stroll to scout the island. He is not being a tourist, he knows from the second trial that a fight can break out faster than a Twitter drama. His sharpened senses start tingling. He stops and starts counting the hidden rats in the bushes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yup, 5 idiots are waiting to jump him in the dark. A group of trainees who call themselves the 5 Peak Swords step out, looking like they are about to drop a mid-tier rap album.
They are mad because Eunseol killed their buddy in the lower chambers and they think they are the ones to deliver justice.
These guys are arrogant as hell, claiming to be geniuses among geniuses. But Eunseol is not even looking at them.
He realizes there is a 6th person watching from the shadows, and that person is the real threat.
One of the goons loses his cool and attacks, but Eunseol handles him like he is taking out the trash.
Before things can get truly bloody, the mystery observer steps out to stop the nonsense.
It turns out the 6th person is Seo Jinha, and she is not here to play games. She shuts down the 5 Peak Swords faster than a librarian, making it clear that their little revenge plot is officially cancelled. The tension in the air is heavy enough to crush a normal person.
Jinha stares down the group until they realize they are outclassed and decide that maybe they do not want to die tonight after all.
With the trash cleared out, Jinha turns her gaze toward Eunseol. She drops the ultimate cliffhanger line, telling him they need to have a very serious talk. You know it is bad when the top-tier beauty looks that intense. Imagine being a part of the 5 peak swords and getting absolutely humbled by a single look. Seo Jinha steps onto the scene and the air literally turns into a nope zone for these losers.
These cowards realize they are out of their league and decide that living is better than acting tough, so they run off like their pants are on fire. Jinha just watches them flee, probably thinking about how much trash he has to deal with daily.
Once the small fry are gone, Jinha drops the act and turns that terrifying gaze on our boy Eunseol. He is not here for small talk, asking a chilling question that would make anyone else soil themselves. Whose side are you actually on? The tension is thick enough to cut with a dull blade as Jinha demands to know if Eunseol is a friend or a target. It is clear that in this world, being neutral is just a fancy way of saying please kill me first. We jump back to the advanced chamber of the Fire Rain Sword sect where the instructor is done with the boring bedtime stories. He tells the class that theory is for nerds and it is finally time to see who actually knows how to swing a sword. The old man wants to see their personal interpretation of the fire raindrops technique. Basically, he is asking them to show off their own flavor of violence, and you know our main lead is about to cook. Eunseol is called up first because the universe loves putting him in the spotlight. He takes a breath, and you can practically feel the temperature in the room drop as he prepares to show them what he has been working on. He executes the form with such disgusting precision it makes the other students look like they are playing with sticks. Every movement is calculated, grounded, and looks like it belongs in a professional executioner's manual. The instructor is actually impressed, noting that Eunseol's version is dripping with a cold, heavy murderous intent. It is not just a sword dance, it is a promise of a very painful funeral for whoever stands in his way. Even the master is a bit shaken by how extra Eunseol's killing intent is. He tells the boy to go back to his spot, probably needing a moment to process that he is teaching a literal walking red flag. Next up is Seo Jinha, and of course, this edgelord has to make an entrance. He walks up with all the confidence of a man who knows he is the main character in his own head, and the atmosphere shifts immediately. Jinha starts his demonstration, but something is off. He is not following the standard textbook version of the Fire Rain Sword. Instead, he is moving with a weird, aggressive flow that feels personal.
Eunseol realizes with the jolt that Jinha's entire form is a direct counter to his own move.
It is a silent, high-level flex designed to show Eunseol that his perfect technique has a very specific, very sharp weakness. This is psychological warfare at its finest. Jinha isn't just showing off for the teacher, he is sending a warning to Eunseol that he is being watched and that his life can be ended at any moment if he slips up.
Back in the forest, Jinha drops a truth bomb, stating that half the people here aren't even interested in becoming demon masters.
He suspects everyone has a hidden agenda, and honestly, in this sect, that is just common sense.
Eunseol starts putting the pieces together and realizes that getting to learn 10 different demonic arts for free is way too good to be true.
Usually, when something is this amazing, it is just bait for a very large mousetrap. He concludes that the Demon Palace might be using this whole competition as an elaborate dragnet to catch a specific rat or spy. It is a high-stakes game of Among Us where the losers get turned into fertilizer. Jinha scans Eunseol's face like a human lie detector and decides that the kid isn't a spy. However, he gives him a final, savage warning: stop acting out of line, or Jinha will personally deliver him to the afterlife. Eunseol watches him leave and decides that worrying about political traps is too much work. He settles on a much simpler philosophy: if they are in front of him and they have a sword, they are just another person to beat down. The training period finally grinds to a halt.
The instructor gives one last lecture, reminding everyone that knowing how to do a move and actually pulling it off in a bloodbath are two very different things.
He tells them that the principles they have learned are just stepping stones for their journey into the Murim. It is basically a nice way of saying I taught you the basics, now go try not to die in the next 5 minutes. Suddenly, a massive bell rings out across the entire island, shattering the peace. This is the signal every candidate has been dreading and waiting for. The vacation is officially over and the slaughter is about to begin. The orders are clear: get your butts to the stone mountain in the center of the island immediately. The survivors scramble, knowing that the next phase isn't going to involve any more polite demonstrations or lectures. As they gather at the base of the mountain, the atmosphere is heavy with the scent of impending doom.
The head instructor is waiting for them, looking like he is ready to enjoy the chaos that is about to unfold.
The third trial is officially starting, and you just know the body count is about to skyrocket.
If you thought the previous tests were tough, you are not ready for the absolute carnage that is coming next.
If you thought the last slaughter was the peak, think again, because the bearded grandpa just dropped a bombshell. That previous bloodbath was just a warm-up.
The real hell is just beginning, and these poor trainees look like they just saw a ghost while realizing their survival streak might end today. Pack your bags because the caves are officially closed and Hell Island is turning into a literal pressure cooker. No more hiding in your cozy rooms. It is time to gather your gear and face the music because the final trial is about to turn this place into a graveyard. The rules are simple and absolutely terrifying: eliminate everyone until only 10 survivors are left standing. It is basically a demonic battle royale where the prize is staying alive and the penalty for being second best is a one-way ticket to the afterlife.
Think you can just camp in a corner?
Bad news, because safe zones are shrinking and anyone caught in the restricted area gets hunted by killer demons.
These high-level monsters have enough killing intent to make a grown man cry, and they are definitely not here to play nice.
These killer demons are not just for show, they are peak martial artists meant to clear out the trash.
The candidates can practically feel the air getting heavy with bloodlust, realizing they are just tiny ants compared to these masked psychos who are itching to start the harvest.
But wait, there is a legendary cheat code for the bold. If you somehow manage to slay one of these demons, you get an instant promotion to Demon Master. It is a high-risk, high-reward bet that most of these simps will definitely fail while trying to look cool. The head instructor is basically giving them a license to be absolute snakes, encouraging teams, ambushes, and dirty tricks.
It is a festival of betrayal where your best friend might just stab you for a spot in the top 10, and honestly, the drama is delicious.
Our boy Eunseol knows he has a giant target on his back because he has been styling on these trainees way too hard. He needs to vanish before a mob of jealous losers tries to jump him to settle the score for his previous victories. He decides the Wandering Night Pavilion is the best spot to set up his fortress, moving like a shadow across the island.
He is not just running. He is calculating every step while the rest of the world is busy losing their minds in the chaos.
Suddenly, the ground starts talking to him, or at least it feels that way through his heightened senses.
He senses someone charging toward him in a total panic, and he is definitely not in the mood for an uninvited guest at his new hideout. A bloodied candidate comes screaming for help like he is the star of a bad horror movie, claiming a trio of killers is right on his tail.
Eunseol is just standing there wondering how this guy managed to be so loud and annoying while literally dying.
Our cold-blooded MC realizes that if this guy keeps yapping, his secret spot is going to be exposed to every predator in the area.
He decides to handle the situation not because he is a hero, but because he needs to keep the noise level down while he plans his next move. He discovers a hidden hole in the ground that looks suspiciously like a custom-made bunker prepared by Mr. Saw just for this occasion. It is time to go underground and let the surface world tear itself apart while he levels up in the dark.
While the killers outside are scratching their heads wondering where their prey went, Eunseol and the loud guy are safely tucked away.
It is the perfect disappearing act, leaving the jealous mob to fight over nothing while our MC chills in the dirt. While submerged in the earth, something crazy happens to his wild beast past senses as they begin to expand. He is not just hiding, he is evolving, perceiving the entire world through the subtle vibrations of the earth like a literal apex predator. This was the true final lesson his master intended all along, to see clearly without ever using his eyes. He can feel every footstep and every sword swing of the trainees above as if he had a 360-degree radar wired directly into his brain. The vibration mastery is a total game changer, turning the dark underground into a map of the entire battlefield.
Eunseol realizes that with this power, nobody can sneak up on him, making him the most dangerous man on Hell Island.
The guy he saved introduces himself as Jim Kialing from the Blood Sect, and he is already acting like Eunseol is his long-lost brother.
Eunseol gives him the ultimate silent treatment, but this talkative sidekick just won't take a hint and shut up.
Despite Eunseol being a walking iceberg, Kiaoliang decides to stick to him like glue because he thinks the young Undertaker is the only trustworthy person left.
Now we have an elite killer and a professional yapper forming the weirdest duo in the history of demonic trials. Eunseol is out here navigating this cursed island like a human radar.
He is literally using the Earth's vibrations to scout out a massive battle happening nearby, because why walk into a trap when you can just feel the ground screaming?
His companion Kiaoliang is absolutely losing it, acting like a total simp for these skills. He is begging Eunseol for a tutorial on how to sense movements, but let us be real, some people are born main characters and others are just background noise.
Our boy was ready to skip the drama and find a new route, but then he hears some warrior screaming about selling his soul just to get revenge.
That is the universal signal for an edgy MC to step in and make things 10 times more violent. Eunseol stops dead in his tracks because he feels a familiar kind of hatred radiating from the guy. It is like looking into a dark mirror, and suddenly, bypassing the conflict is no longer on the menu. Change of plans, folks.
Eunseol decides to join the party, and by party, I mean a complete bloodbath.
He is moving in while everyone else is still trying to figure out which way is up in the middle of the chaos.
Some hidden assassin thinks he is slick using a forbidden concealment technique, but Eunseol just shuts that down mid-air. The look of pure terror on this fraud's face is priceless as he wonders if he just ran into a professional reaper.
Honestly, these high-tier stealth techniques are nothing but a minor annoyance to Eunseol at this point. Thanks to the wild beast path, he can practically smell the desperation on these losers before they even draw their blades. He is walking through the carnage with the kind of cold energy that makes even the shadows want to run away. While the assassins are busy dying, he is just judging their poor life choices and even worse combat skills. He spots the last survivor of the group and decides to play guardian angel for a second. Not because he is a nice guy, but because he is bored and wants to see how this tragic revenge plot actually ends. RMC is actually feeling a bit philosophical. He is genuinely curious to know what it feels like to finally accomplish a long-sought vengeance.
Does it taste like victory, or just more bitter blood?
He intervenes with terrifying efficiency, turning the assassins into human confetti.
They really thought they had the upper hand until the local monster decided to clock in for his shift.
The battlefield is becoming a literal gallery of red, and Eunseol is the one holding the paintbrush. These guys are getting deleted faster than a bad browser history, and it is absolutely glorious to watch. He clears the path so the survivor can finally land that finishing blow. It is almost poetic, if you can ignore the pile of severed limbs and the heavy scent of iron hanging in the air.
The survivor finally claims his revenge, laughing like a total psycho in a mix of relief and pure exhaustion.
It is that specific kind of high you only get when your enemies are finally rotting in the dirt. But just as Eunseol is about to ask his big question, the atmosphere shifts completely.
Someone thinks they are brave enough to try a betrayal, and boy, are they about to regret ever being born.
The traitor tries a sneak attack, but Eunseol thwarts it like he is swatting a fly. He is more annoyed that his interview with the survivor got ruined than he is about the literal murder attempt on his life.
Eunseol drops a truth bomb, revealing that he has been aware of this hostile intent from the very first second they met.
Imagine being such a trash actor that the guy you are trying to kill is just embarrassed for you. He calls out the massive cache of hidden weapons stuffed under the guy's clothes. Apparently, carrying a whole armory makes your spine move as stiffly as a wooden board. Local fraud caught in 4K. Why did he keep him around? Because Eunseol was curious to see how a pathetic loser goes about trying to deceive someone. He was basically using the guy as a case study for future idiots.
The traitor is having a full-blown mental breakdown, screaming that his acting was perfect and his concealment was flawless.
Buddy, you are a walking red flag with a death wish, just give it up already.
He starts trembling as he realizes Eunseol can predict his every move.
It is not even a fight anymore, it is just a predator playing with his food before the final crunch. Eunseol delivers the final, chilling line, "Even the best hidden weapons are useless once you have been caught." He neutralizes the threat with zero effort and continues his journey through this deadly trial like the boss he is.
You think being a martial arts prodigy is all sunshine and rainbows? Think again.
Eunseol just finished a fight that almost sent him to the afterlife early, and he is not exactly celebrating. He is standing over a fresh corpse, realizing that the only reason he is not the one leaking red is because he knew about his opponent's hidden weapons beforehand. Talk about a close call for our main man. As he watches the light fade from this poor loser's eyes, Eunseol gets all philosophical. He spent way too much time as an Undertaker, so he recognizes that desperate, pathetic look. Every dying person has that same obsession with living, but on this island, wishing does not keep your head on your shoulders. It is cold, it is brutal, and it is exactly how we like it. He looks over at the survivor who finally got his revenge, and instead of feeling hyped, Eunseol is just confused.
He is wondering if he will ever find peace like that or if he will ever be able to smile once his own bloody checklist is done.
Honestly, with the way things are going, finding a spa day on this island seems more likely than finding inner peace. But wait, we are not alone. A mysterious observer is lurking in the shadows like a total creep, and he is actually impressed. He cannot believe this kid is out here bodying trained assassins using nothing but the basic tier moves of the Fire Rain Sword sect. It is like watching someone win a pro tournament using only the tutorial buttons. This shadow dweller admits Eunseol has got talent, but don't get it twisted. This is Hell Island, and talent is as common as dirt here. If Eunseol doesn't level up his game fast, he is going to end up as just another nameless skeleton in the woods. The hype is real, but the survival rate is looking real low right now. The very next day, the intensity goes from 0 to 100 real quick. The trial has turned into a literal fever dream where one lone trainee is being hunted through the forest like he is the last piece of meat at a buffet. A pack of hungry competitors is closing in, and they are not looking to share.
Our boy realizes he is at a massive disadvantage in the open field.
Being surrounded in the woods is a one-way ticket to a coffin, so he starts searching for a way to flip the script. He needs to change the environment before these thirsty mobs catch up and turn him into a human pincushion. High above the carnage, the instructors are watching the chaos like it is a reality TV show. They drop a bombshell: only 41 out of the 86 trainees are still breathing after just 3 days. That is more than half the class deleted already. These instructors are absolutely savage and they are not even done yet. The head instructor, who clearly has no soul, decides the survivors are getting too comfortable.
He thinks it is time to tighten the noose and see who really wants to live.
He pulls out a map and prepares to shrink the safe zone, herding all the survivors toward the central buildings. It is basically a battle royale, and the circle is closing in. To make things even more spicy, they are preparing to unleash something called killer demons into the area. Because apparently, being hunted by 40 other psychos wasn't enough, now they have to deal with literal demons. The management on this island really needs a 1-star review on Yelp. Back on the ground, the hunted trainee is actually playing 4D chess. He successfully lures his pursuers right into the cramped interior of the Fire Rain Sword sect building. He knows that in a tight space, numbers don't mean squat if you know how to use the walls as your allies. Welcome to his house, idiots.
The pursuers are grinning like they just won the lottery, thinking they have finally cornered their prey.
They are talking big, but they have no idea they just walked into a trap.
It is the classic mistake of thinking you are the hunter when you are actually just the delivery boy bringing the main character a snack.
Their confidence evaporates instantly when the boy uses a shallow trick to vanish and pop up right behind them. It is the ultimate nothing personal, kid moment.
These thugs are shaking in their boots because they realize they aren't dealing with a victim. They are dealing with a nightmare.
The attackers are absolutely horrified to find out that Eunseol can read the paths of their sword techniques with supernatural clarity. It is like he is seeing their moves in slow motion while they are just flailing around like toddlers. You can't hit what you can't surprise, and these guys are about as predictable as a filler episode.
One of the thugs finally realizes the gravity of their situation, but it is way too late.
They are stuck in an enclosed space where their wide, powerful swings are physically impossible to pull off. They are literally hitting the walls while Eunseol is just waiting for his turn to end their careers. Eunseol observes that in such tight quarters, these losers have to shorten their attacks. This weakens their force and makes every single movement so predictable it is almost boring for him. Since these thugs lack the skill to adapt, he starts picking them apart one by one in the shadows like a true slasher movie villain. The chaos hits a peak when one absolute genius tries to use a whip in a stone room. Big surprise, it bounces off the wall and leaves him completely exposed. Imagine bringing a whip to a sword fight and then getting styled on because you don't understand basic physics. You love to see it. Terrified by the sudden reversal, the group tries to flee the building, but the doors might as well be locked. The predator they were hunting has officially become their judge, jury, and executioner. But just as things look settled, a massive shadow looms over the scene. Is this the end or just a new level of hell? The atmosphere turns heavy as a new presence enters the fray, looking like a literal final boss.
The survivors who thought they were safe are now staring death in the face once again.
On Hell Island, the only reward for surviving a fight is an even harder fight immediately after. This new monster is not here to talk, he is here to cull the weak.
As Eunseol faces down this overwhelming pressure, we realize the real trial is only just beginning. If you thought the first few days were bad, you are not ready for the absolute slaughterhouse that is coming next.
Imagine being such a pathetic coward that your own captain has to jump scare you just to stop you from running away like a headless chicken.
These guys thought they could just clock out early, but their boss is a total psycho who finds the idea of fleeing from one kid absolutely hilarious and insulting.
Enter Wu Munching, a man with an ego so massive it needs its own zip code. He is basically looking at everyone who failed to make it into the advanced chamber as literal trash. This man is not just a loudmouth though. He instantly clocks Eunseol's fire rain sword style like he is reading a manual, showing off that he is actually a threat. When Eunseol tries to introduce himself, Munching literally laughs in his face. Why bother learning the name of a kid who is going to be a corpse in 5 seconds? Talk about zero chill. The battle kicks off and Munching starts dropping spoilers about the school curriculum. He knows all about the shining mystique, the secret defensive move Eunseol was counting on.
Eunseol is internally screaming because how does this random captain have a better information network than a high-end spy agency?
His secret moves are basically public knowledge at this point. Munching does not give him a second to breathe. He starts swinging like a maniac, smashing everything in the room to bits just because he can.
Our boy Eunseol realizes that fighting in a phone booth against a wrecking ball is a terrible idea.
There is zero advantage when your opponent is busy deleting the architecture. The captain is still talking trash, claiming Eunseol's skills are basically amateur hour compared to a true master. He is really leaning into that arrogant mid-boss energy.
Every time Eunseol thinks he has a gap, Munching is there to remind him that he is outclassed.
It is a total struggle session for our protagonist right now. Eunseol is pushed to the edge and starts doing the math. The shining mystique is great for blocking, but it has zero kick. It is like bringing a shield to a nuke fight. He knows if he wants to survive, he needs something that can literally slice through steel. He is searching for that one-shot destructive power to flip the script.
Munching thinks the fight is over and laughs at Eunseol's final struggle.
He really should have watched more anime, because the quiet ones are always the most dangerous. Boom! Eunseol drops the hammer and unleashes the unrivaled lightning and thunder. It is a secret technique so flashy it probably blinded half the sect. Munching's face goes from arrogant to absolutely terrified in a split second. He was expecting a trainee, but he just got hit by a literal force of nature. The captain is down for the count, but Eunseol is looking rough. Turns out using a god-tier move when you are still a low-level player has some nasty side effects.
Our hero is coughing up blood and admitting that the move is way too advanced for his current body.
He won the fight, but he is running on fumes and he knows it.
He realizes he has wasted way too much time playing with this loudmouth.
The restricted regions are about to shift, and he needs to move before he gets trapped. But of course, the universe hates him. As he turns to leave, he comes face to face with a literal killer demon.
If you thought the last guy was bad, this absolute monster is on a whole different level.
Imagine being so lost you accidentally wander into a restricted zone and find a literal killer demon staring you down.
Eunseol realizes he is in deep trouble, and his previous fight was just a warm-up for this nightmare. Our boy really thought he could just peaceful walk his way out of this like he forgot his keys.
He tries to step out of the zone quietly, but this masked freak is not about that life. Before he can even blink, the demon lunges with the kind of speed that makes your internet connection look fast. It is a literal snake strike from hell, and Eunseol is the unlucky mouse. If it was not for the wild beast path giving him cheat code instincts, Eunseol would have been a headless statue. He barely senses the strike as it whistles past his neck, and the realization hits him that he is outclassed. He is sweating bullets because one wrong move means instant game over. He is forced into a defensive crouch, clutching his sword like a lifeline while the demon just stands there looking like a final boss. Time for a quick mental flashback to his training. He remembers the lesson about tigers hunting deer. Even though the tiger is faster, the deer stays alive by zigzagging like a pro gamer. But there is a catch. Apex predators always win because they do not just run, they time their strike to the exact millisecond the prey commits to a direction. It is all about the timing, and this demon is a master of it. So how do you beat a timing god? You make your movements so chaotic and unpredictable that even the demon starts questioning his life choices. Eunseol prepares to turn his brain off and go full beast mode. He lets out a yell and starts moving. He has to break the rhythm and disrupt the master's flow, otherwise, he is just a deer waiting for the butcher. He baits the demon with a predictable zigzag, acting like a total amateur to lure out a strike. It is a high-stakes gamble that would make any sane person run for the hills. The demon bites the bait, but Eunseol switches to his beast-like movements at the last second. He is dodging lethal slashes by hair-widths, looking for that one tiny opening to escape the death zone. The pursuit is relentless. The demon is right on his heels, sword ready to turn him into sushi. Eunseol is pushing his body past the limit, realizing he is still way too slow for this level of play. Eunseol is left huffing and puffing, realizing he was just a tiny frog in a very deep well. He could barely dodge, let alone fight back. This was a massive reality check for his ego.
He stares into the distance, thinking about the psycho who killed his grandfather. If that killer is on the same level as this demon, Eunseol needs a serious training montage before he even thinks about revenge.
But the universe does not give him a break. A new challenger named Fong Ak emerges from the trees, and this guy already knows Eunseol's name and his secret wild beast path training. Talk about a stalker alert. Fong Ak is a total hater, calling Eunseol a demon seedling that needs to be uprooted before he grows up.
He is not here for a chat. He is here to end the bloodline right now.
As they clash, Eunseol feels a weird sensation. It is like his opponent's chi is a literal vortex, drawing him in. This triggers a core memory of his grandfather explaining the most annoying martial arts style in history. Fong Ak is impressed that our boy predicted his trajectory, but he is still determined to finish the job.
He is one of those righteous warriors who thinks killing kids is a public service.
The Hebei Fong clan's 5 tiger severing blades is no joke. It is a style that shatters your bones from the inside without even leaving a scratch on your skin. It is basically the ultimate stop hitting yourself technique. The technique uses a powerful absorption effect that pulls the opponent's weapon and body toward the user. It is like fighting a human black hole, and Eunseol is getting sucked right into the kill zone. Eunseol struggles to keep his grip as the chi flow messes with his head.
He needs to clear his thoughts and remember the weakness his grandfather mentioned, or he is going to be bone meal.
The absorption is a double-edged sword because the attacker has to get uncomfortably close to land the blow. If Eunseol can just find a way to stay grounded, he can turn that vortex into a trap. He remembers the lesson perfectly now. This man died to the 5 tiger severing blades because his bones were fractured internally. It is a terrifying way to go, and Fong Ak is looking to repeat history. Fong Ak is shocked that this seedling actually knows the name of his clan's secret art. Eunseol is not just a random brat, He is a brat with a very dangerous encyclopedia for a brain. The vortex starts pulling again, but this time Eunseol has a plan. He is not going to fight the pull, he is going to use it against this arrogant master. Like a vortex pulling everything inward, the Feng style relies on interfering with the opponent's weapon. It is a clever trick, but every trick has a counter if you are crazy enough to try it. Feng AK fights just like a tiger, aggressive and overwhelming.
But Eunseol realizes that by getting closer, the attacker is also exposing their own vitals.
It is time for a high-risk counterplay.
To stop himself from being sucked in, Eunseol does the unthinkable and plunges his sword deep into the ground.
He is literally anchoring himself to the earth like a human tent stake. Feng AK is absolutely stunned. He has never seen someone use their own sword as an anchor before. His perfect absorption technique is failing, and he is losing his cool. With the pull neutralized, the momentum shifts. Feng AK is wide open, and Eunseol's eyes are glowing with that beastly intent. The hunter has just become the prey, and it is about to get very violent. He resisted the absorption and is now preparing a counterstrike that Feng AK never saw coming. This demon seedling is about to show this clan master exactly why you should never mess with a wild animal. The shock on Feng AK's face is priceless.
He really thought this would be an easy win, but Eunseol is proving that beastly instincts always trump fancy clan techniques.
Our boy flashes a smirk because the plan is working perfectly. He is about to deliver a counterstrike that will leave this master questioning his entire life. Stay tuned, because the real hunt is just beginning.